welcome everyone who's joining us now. It is, I think, 9:01, so we're going to get started. Thank you so much for joining us today. We have a really exciting Leadership Roundtable meeting for you. If you're brand new, please let us know. Please introduce yourself in the chat so everybody in the meeting today can know who you are. Tell us why you're here. That's always also something important for people to know. We're excited to get started with you today. So I'll introduce myself. My name is Tiffany Baca. For those who don't know, I did notice we have a lot of new folks to the meeting today. A lot of folks who've been with us for a long time, but also some newbies. So for those of us who've been around for a while, please help us welcome the new folks and continue this conversation. We've grown so much and we appreciate all of the new voices that we hear because that's new perspective and new information that we have to inform our decisions moving forward. I am the Executive Director of the Water Energy Education Alliance and have been since 2000. I'm also the Public Affairs Manager for the Municipal Water District of Orange County and have some exciting news to share that the Municipal Water District of Orange County has been an administrator of WEEA since 2020, and that has been one of my responsibilities, but we have invested a significant amount more in WEEA this upcoming fiscal year, and I'll be transitioning along with Sarah Wilson, who's joining me today, to an education division. So the education division is going to really focus on all our K-12 programs, but also workforce development. So we actually have a lot more time than we've had in years past because of the Municipal Water District's investment this year in WEEA and the continuing year. So we're really excited about that. We have hired a public affairs manager for communications for MODOC, and that new person will be starting in a few weeks. We're very excited to welcome her on board, and we'll introduce you at some point when that is appropriate. I do like to give a shout out to our 2024-25 WEEA sponsors. Again, the Municipal Water District of Orange County is also a sponsor, so we're contributing financially. The Metropolitan Water District of Southern California, Los Angeles Department of Water and Power, Tomorrow's Talent, Water Replenishment District, our spotlight sponsor today, Eastern Municipal Water District, brand new to the group, Inland Empire Utilities Agency, and we're really happy to have them confirmed for 2 years. Molten Water District, and Western Municipal Water District. We also receive in-kind sponsorship from the California Environmental Education Foundation and California Community Colleges. The new fiscal year is coming up. This is our last meeting until October, probably. We usually do host our first meeting of the fiscal year in October. But if you're interested in what sponsorship looks like, what the benefits are of that, and growing your community and investment and workforce development, we've dropped the sponsorship brochure for the new fiscal year in the chat. You can always contact me. This is my email information, and you can connect with me on LinkedIn. To that point, I also wanted to emphasize that WEEA does have a LinkedIn account. It's brand new this year. I have been the person who has been responsible for most of WEEA for quite some time. So if you see a lag there in the LinkedIn posts, don't fret. I'll jump on it, but there are limited resources. So we're doing what we can to make sure that we keep you updated and share things. All right, guidelines. And again, mostly for those that are new, although we do have a new little feature this time. In the Zoom application, please make sure your screen name is correct. So we call you by the correct name. It just happened this morning. We had somebody log in with somebody else's link and their name was incorrect, but it's always nice to know who's who in the room and be able to call on you if you raise your hand and call you by the proper name. Make sure you include your organization so we know where you hail from. And we ask that all participants remain muted unless presenting or asking a question, and that just keeps the noise down a little bit so we can run the meeting effectively and everyone can concentrate on the content that we're sharing. Reserve the chat for comments, and new this time is a Q&A section. So previous Zoom options for not a webinar, but an actual meeting didn't include Q&A. Those were reserved for webinars. We're very pleased to see the Q&A section back here for our actual meetings. We'll never host these meetings as a webinar because we require that you participate. We want you to feel welcome, ask your questions, engage with other people who can help answer those questions. So the chat is wide open. If you have a thought or you think someone in the room might be able to answer a question for you, please use the chat for comments to help us filter. And we do have an unusual situation today. We've had someone who generally helps us co-host these meetings call out sick, and then we had another person go on vacation. So today it is just me and the lovely Sarah Wilson, who is the public affairs supervisor for MODOC. So we're grateful to be able to do this, but we do need your help. So chat for comments, Q&A for questions so that we can filter, raise your hand if you'd like to answer a live question. And for those who need it, closed captioning is available. This is our agenda for today, welcome and introductions, which we're doing now. I have a new little segment that I'll share with you in a bit called WEEA's 4 Pillars. We have introduced our 4 pillars, which I'll talk about in a little bit, but we've heard, well, what can I do in these areas? I'm unsure how to get started. So we're introducing a section now where we're going to give you some suggestions on how you can take actionable steps in those 4 pillars. We have good news and announcements coming up at 9:15. If there's time, depending on how many people are active in the previous 2 sections, we'll play a little game called Real Deal or Just a Dream. If not, I'll save it for another time. And then at 9:55, we are going to open the doors to our good friends at Eastern Municipal Water District, who are going to share a lot of really exciting things that they've been able to accomplish in the last couple of years with regards to education and workforce. And then at 10:40, we're going to open it up to Q&A. 11 o'clock, we'll take a 10-minute break, and then we'll break out into facilitated breakout groups. And this time, I believe we're going to have 3 breakout rooms. We're going to allow you to select your own. It looks like the majority of us in the room this time are LA, Orange County, and Inland Empire. So we're opening up those 3 rooms, but you can jump in if you're a statewide organization, which we also have quite a few on the call today. And we've got a couple folks from San Diego and then some from Ventura, but please select your breakout room. We're all super friendly, and every new voice contributes to the conversation and allows us again to learn from each other and grow our perspective. So that's breakout rooms, and then we're going to close at 12. So let's jump into this new segment. For those who don't know, a few years ago, we launched a statewide water and wastewater workforce needs report with the Centers of Excellence for Labor Market Research. If you're interested in that report, you can find that on mwdoc.com/WEEA. The report lives on that page because we use it when we refer to it a lot. But the recommendations from that report came back. We didn't have the information that was quantified. Now we do, and that's from the report, although we weren't surprised with the recommendations from this report, which were we need to increase our efforts in diversity. We need to address awareness issues that we have. We need to build partnerships to expand our efforts, and we need to identify the skills that are actually required for the jobs that we're promoting and we're hiring for, because our job descriptions don't necessarily match the skills that we claim that we need. So diversity, awareness, partnerships, and skills, for those who need a new acronym, because we love our acronyms. If you haven't already adopted DAPS, because we did this, it has allowed us to really focus our work and identify where we can use metrics to make sure that we're moving forward in the proper way and that we're actually being impactful on the work that we're doing. So please use DAPS. Some suggestions for ways that we can improve our efforts in diversity. And I'm going to pull this up a little bit here. Let's see. So we can see everybody. Okay, so some quick ways that we can do that. Diversity, using plain language. And I know this might sound very easy for us, and it's a surprise that we haven't done it. when you join the water industry or the energy industry, or even if you're an educator, we develop our own language in these unique groups. And we speak to others as if they know what we're talking about. We use a ton of acronyms. In some instances, because we're in situations where we're required to be the expert, we elevate the words that we use so that we sound really smart. But that doesn't help us when we're looking at recruiting people to the industry who may not be aware of what jobs we have or what opportunities we have. So using plain language. And is Steve Blumenshine in the room? Let's take
Yeah,
a look.
I
Hey, Steve, would you do me a big favor and share the student um, assignment to take a look at our jobs and provide their input? You know what story I'm talking about.
need a little prompt there. I've been on the road quite a bit and going to different events.
Okay, this is where you had a group of students who were asked to review industry job
Oh yeah.
descriptions.
Right. So the story there is the context is that I lead a group focused on water, which includes water careers in the CSU system at 23 campuses. And part of our structure is a campus representatives network of faculty members, usually two from each campus. We meet monthly and we share what's happening in their campuses and in the outside California water and energy worlds. And so one of the campus reps shared a story about a class exercise they did with some senior undergrads, who were in a water related major, of course. And a faculty member harvested a number of job advertisements, from water industry in California and had the students review those job ads in groups and talk about whether they see themselves in that role or they're being trained for those roles described in the job ads, for example. And what this faculty member reported was that the students saw those ads and just didn't really recognize the language and said, well, that's not me. I'm not fit to fit in that role, for example. And the faculty member reported that back to the HR administrators, who provided the ad. And the faculty member told them what the students do in this major with respect to classes and other activities for their professional development, and said, no, those are exactly the kind of students we need. So obviously we have a disconnect there in the language used by HR for hiring and accessing students. And following that, we've been lucky to have two really great workforce education webinars with the team at CUA, California Urban Water Agencies, which focused on CSU students learning about water careers. And we had about 20 representatives from those 11 CUA agencies representing water careers. And there was a lot of talking the first webinars, and even though we had breakout rooms, the students didn't get to ask questions too much, and they wanted more, actually. So we had a second webinar called Ask Me Anything, which was focused on listening. So we told the agency folks, just listen to the students. And part of the registration of over 100 students was them submitting questions for the agencies. And so we harvested those questions that the students had about water careers in California. And that was really eye-opening because you would not have guessed a lot of that content. It was quite basic in that they didn't know what water careers were about or how diverse they are or how to prepare for them. So among those two webinars, I felt that was a really effective outreach to close some of those communication gaps. Thanks, Tiffany.
Brilliant. No, and I love to share that story. I wanted you to share it since it's yours, really. And that's part of what this community does. But if we're putting out job descriptions and we're hoping for the best candidates or those who might be interested, if we're trying to attract young people to these jobs and we're not using language that they, one, understand, or two, that they can see themselves in these roles, to me, that's a big red flag. That means that we need to really take a look at not just those job descriptions, but what are we doing across our social media? What are we doing in our education programs? Are we and I'm in communications. I've been in communications for a very long time, but I still find myself reverting back to acronyms or technical language. And I have to make sure that I step back because my job and all of our jobs, particularly in this space, is to make sure people understand us and that they feel included and
Exactly.
empowered to participate.
I want to touch on your point while I can, while we have this great audience
Yeah.
here about diversity and using plain language.
Hmm.
Well, money talks. Make no joke about it. Those of you who have, um, your own kids and they're at various stages of their educational development and professional development and entering adulthood, for example, but look at what's happening in California economically. And so I tell the general managers and others in charge of these things, in your postings or talking about water careers, don't hesitate to put some dollar amounts out there. Now, this depends on your audience. If you're in K-12, maybe that's not quite as relevant for those younger people. But for impending university graduates, that's everything. They're going to be on their own and they have a lot of trepidation about entering this new world and phase in their life. And so make no joke about it. I mean, some of our colleagues, I'm not going to name names, but they have some internships for students that are $31, $32 an hour and starting careers at certain levels. Don't hold back on that. That is a major attractor for people that are entering or about to enter water careers.
Thank you, Steve. And what I really appreciate about these comments, this is coming directly from Access, the people we're trying to recruit, right? Young students or young people entering these careers. There was a period where, the generation that was entering the workforce wasn't as concerned about the financial um, incentive. It was more about, do I have a work-life balance? Is the schedule flexible? And while that's still in the mix, we are finding that these new generations are also now leaning back to the financial incentive. That really matters because we've seen multiple generations struggle in California to buy homes, struggle to make ends meet, have to live at home for quite some time to pay off bills, including their student loans. So things have shifted a little bit, and that financial concern and that financial incentive is something that's sitting at the top of mind of people who are entering the workforce. So I think that's a really fair point
To
to
put
bring
some
up.
numbers on that, a report came out today
Thank
from the
you.
state, an analysis. I'm sorry, I forget who produced it. Um, it's now the case, and this is rapidly changing, where $100,000 a year for a single independent person is low wage in 5 or 6 California counties, and $92,000 is low wage in 11 counties.
Yeah.
So, look, if you're a young person entering, independence, those are stark numbers, and water careers pay very well, and that's got to be one of the front headlines, I think, in this effort.
Thank you for that. I appreciate that. So diversity using plain language, that's a hot tip. And moving on to awareness, one thing that you might be able to do is highlight employee career stories. And Steve, I'll probably give you another moment in just a minute to talk about the CSU water videos, career video series. And I have a slide for that, but it would be great if you jumped in there too. So I'll probably call on you for that. Highlight employee career stories. Young people or people transitioning into the water workforce, it's a human element. It's something where you can see a person who has done something that interests you, or that looks like you, or that shares some demographic, whether it's your age or it's your history, and you can see yourself in those roles. It also cements brand awareness and brand loyalty for your employees because who doesn't want to be showcased and celebrated for the job that they do because our jobs are critical. We will share with you an opportunity that and when I say we, the Water Energy Education Alliance, we did partner with Perk Water and the Water Replenishment District recently to produce 3 videos, and it's a starter video series. We'll share a little bit about that with you in the next segment, and then we'll talk about the CSU Water career video series because there's an opportunity there for those who attend WEEA and who are interested in taking a step forward in awareness, particularly in highlighting career stories of your employees. I'm going to pause here. Does anyone have something that they'd like to share when it comes to awareness and employee career stories, how that's been beneficial for you, or it's something that you've tried has been either successful or not successful? I'll take a quick pause because I know a lot of people have those videos or have attempted those videos. Okay. The
Hey, Tiffany.
next, yes,
Tiffany, sorry.
who's
This is Shahzad Bhojani from the San Bernardino County Superintendent of Schools office.
wonderful.
Um, and I just wanted to share, I think you talked about videos, and so I'm going to post a
Yep.
link in our chat. We've got a series called Workforce Wednesdays, where we attempt to highlight industry professionals from all different industries that are local to the Inland Empire. And we created recently a video in partnership with East Valley Water District, highlighting a student who was from the Inland Empire and is now, a professional in the water industry. So I'm going to post that. I think those are the types of opportunities and exposure that we need to provide to our students so they know what they don't know, right? So I'm going to put that out there as well. But if anybody else has any resources that can be shared that we can, push along to our students in our districts, we look forward to that.
Thank you, Shahzad. I deeply appreciate that, and thank you for speaking up. Um, Moving on to partnerships, and we have a lot of folks in the room who have implemented partnerships and have been very successful. It really does take a community. There's some really strong benefits for building and nurturing community ties. So what I recommend and what we've done that has been very successful for us is take a look at your community. Who aren't you reaching out to? Who might be a real asset that can be a brand ambassador that can help spread the message about jobs in your industry? Who can help highlight careers for young students or invite you to speak on careers, on what your agency is doing, what your educational institution is doing to make advancements in workforce development. So some examples could be Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts. Another example could be a local workforce board or a community center or PTA. Teachers are a huge asset for us at all levels through K through 20. And when teachers are on board, they have access to, what did we say, Steve? 130,000 students a year across 23 college campuses. Yeah, that's how many young people are receiving their degrees and entering the world. And that's huge. That's huge for us. If we're saying that we are missing candidates for our jobs, well, that's a great place to start. 133,000 across 23 college campuses are young people we could be inviting into our industry and sharing that we have these terrific opportunities across more than 200 jobs. I'm going to pause for a minute. Does anyone want to share successes in building and nurturing community ties or some opportunities that maybe some other folks in the room haven't considered for connecting with community? Okay, and you can also use the chat. If you're not comfortable raising your hand or not comfortable speaking up, or at some point in this meeting you feel like, oh, you know what? I did have something to share that might be valuable. Please drop it in the chat. Partnerships are key. We know this. I love partners. I love partners. We can really do a lot more together than we can alone, and we can reach a wide variety of perspectives and really engage our community and bond our community over something very powerful. So partnerships, skills. I switched gears a little bit here. One thing that you can do to address the skills concern that we have, or one of our 4 pillars, which is skills, provide clear advancement pathways. We're in a very unique time right now. This year, 2025, marks the first year that millennials are making up the majority of our workforce because our boomers are either have retired or on their way out, and Gen X is stepping up to the plate and also looking at the door and the light at the end of the tunnel. So millennials are the majority of our workforce marking 2025, and by 2030, it will be millennials and Gen Z. So how do we engage the people that we currently have in the workforce? Let's not talk about recruiting new people, but what about the folks that are in the workforce now? We have heard a lot from Gen X saying there's no place for me to go. Like the people who are at the top are staying at the top, and this is my ceiling. So to keep others engaged, maybe take a look at some of our job opportunities and see if there's advancement opportunities for those that are already there, or nurturing and growing the younger folks that we have who are sitting in the queue, right? The millennials and the Gen Zs, so that they can see themselves in these future leadership roles. Providing clear advancement pathways is a really strong way to address our retention issues as well. So I'm going to take a pause for a minute and ask if anyone has anything to share about successes or challenges, providing clear advancement pathways in the work that you've done. And you can also use the chat for that if that's what you prefer. Okay, we're going to launch our first poll. So single choice, and I know people don't love this single choice, but again, when we present these opportunities, it does allow people to focus in on what they would consider their priority. So what would you find most valuable to support your workforce efforts? There's a wide variety. You can pick one and then say all of the above in the chat, that's fine. But here are some options: a replicable workforce plan, and that's something that we're investigating as something that WEEA might be able to do in the upcoming year. Training workshops focused on diversity awareness, partnerships, and skills for this group. How do I institute partnerships? What do I need to know about diversity in this day and age, and how can I take steps forward? I really need curricula or lesson plans for our K-16 programs. And Steve and I have talked actually about the outdated curricula for higher um, higher grades. Is that something that would be beneficial? A coordinated campaign. We do have access to a lot of communications groups that we might be able to tap and say, hey, this is our collective campaign for this coming year, if that is something that you appreciate. Or succession plannings and planning tools. We've heard a lot that people are now in that phase of their workforce development efforts. We have 32, 34. Perfect. We're going to let this poll run a little bit. Nick, you had your hand raised?
Yeah, Tiffany, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Just on your previous question or invite regarding, again, if you can repeat it for me, that would be great. But I think you were asking what can we do regarding those who are retiring, or I don't quite.
Providing clear advancement pathways for those who are already in the industry.
Yes, okay. The point is that we have the retirees or upcoming retirees or people who've been in the industry for a long time have a wealth of information and knowledge that they should share with those in the CTE programs and so on, so that the water agencies and districts, if at all possible, my suggestion or idea would be to suggest that they encourage their upcoming retirees or even those who are still working in the industry to devote some part-time efforts, even while they're working or after they retire, to pass on their knowledge either as guest speakers going to schools or becoming a CTE instructor, such as what I've done, or in some other way to share their knowledge, just to not just to walk away and go off in the sunset, but to remain engaged and do what they can to help make the world a better place.
That's a great point. Thank you so much for that, Nick. And there are, that's been a challenge of ours for quite some time um, is having our industry professionals in water and energy decide that after retirement, they do want to contribute to training programs and CTE programs. There are some successful examples across the state. San Diego is a great example of folks that have said, I'm retiring or I'm working part-time at the end of my career, but I want to teach and train others.
So
So
Tiffany,
that would be another great option.
yeah, Tiffany, let me just add, I put it in the chat. If anybody comes across any schools or school districts that want to do what Hemet Unified and Eastern Municipal Water District are doing, I have my CTE credential in water resources and utilities and would sure like to utilize my talents before I die to to offer some skill training to high school kids and adult students. Thank you for
Great.
listening. My contact information is in the chat.
Thank you, Nick. And I did see a hand up from Manuel. Manuel, are you still out there?
Yes, I'm still here.
Great.
I was just wondering, doing some thinking and wondering if it was an appropriate time to ask my question, just because, so I work for the water boards and part of our program or something that we're investigating is workforce development challenges related to this field.
Mhm.
And, this is more so a question for the group, but, does anyone know of any existing resources or efforts to recruit folks who speak Spanish or folks who are learning English? Because a lot of the communities that we work with, are, at least in the program that I work for, specifically the SAFER program, these are small unincorporated communities. And, as water operators retire in some of these communities, it becomes a challenge to then fill these positions. And, there's a large number of folks who might be interested in these careers, but don't necessarily speak English. So we're wondering if anyone knows of anybody or anyone either translating materials, having study groups, or finding some way to recruit folks from these fields who are interested but just have this language barrier.
Thank you for that, Manuel. Do we have anyone in the room today who can help answer that question? Anybody doing similar work? I'm looking at the group. Manuel, you put your contact information in the chat?
I can drop it in. I'll place it
Okay,
here momentarily.
please. Yeah, please do. I'll do a follow-up and then I'll start investigating on our end too and see if we can't get you some answers to the really important questions.
Thank you. I really appreciate it because as far as I know, I think the only nonprofit organization that is doing a similar effort is called Self-Help Enterprises. And they had received funding from the USDA to do I believe it was a 6-month or year-long development program with a cohort of 10 folks. And this group is meeting together weekly to study to take their first level 1 exam for water operator certification. And they're afterwards they have planned. They are also working with an active water operator, a retired water operator, and a semi-active one. So they do have some mentorship from folks inside of the field. And the only thing that was really limiting them was funding, because outside of that group of 10, there were more people who were interested, but that was just all the funding allowed. So I think they're currently the only effort that I know of. And I know that in Texas, I've spoken to some folks over there that they have some efforts, right? I think they've translated all of their introductory courses in Spanish, but I haven't heard of any similar efforts in California.
Got it. And is Steve Harrison on the line? I know he joins us usually. I believe he had a similar question. I'm just going to double check here. Yeah, we have some contacts that we can reach out to and see if we can get you some additional information. And if that's something the group would be interested in, please drop that in the chat and we'll make sure that we all receive that information. If this is something that would be important to you, Shazad.
Hi,
Thank you.
everybody. Yeah, so Tiffany, I was listening about the gap, right, for retiring water professionals and opportunities right within K-12 CTE for them to explore after they move on. I would be happy to put together some resources, and again collaboratively, right, which could be shared with water districts and folks who are close to retirement, so they are aware of what the opportunities are, what the processes are involved in terms of getting your CTE credential if you are looking to pursue this in retirement, part-time or full-time or whatever the case may be. So I'm happy to kind of explore that further. I just texted Nick as well. I know, Nick, you're teaching at Hemet as well. We would love to collaborate on that and kind of put together something that we think might help our retiring water professionals to explore, CTE teaching. I know that's one of the biggest areas of gap where our teachers want to put these pathways in our districts, but not having enough professionals, right, to be teachers is certainly a barrier.
Absolutely. And I think also many of us are probably questioning how could we make this opportunity attractive, right, to our retiring employees? We know that our people stay forever. Our water and energy people, they're great jobs. They have amazing benefits. And so when they see the light at the end of the tunnel, sometimes they're like, well, I don't need anything else. I think I'm just going to go sit on the beach with a Mai Tai, which is absolutely okay. But I think it would be very interesting for us to explore how to make these opportunities attractive to our folks who are leaving, right? And who are taking decades of institutional knowledge with them and could really apply that in a place that could train our next generations of people. All right, we've got some hands up. Let's start with Catherine.
Hi there, everybody. I just want to let you know I'm at Gavin College, which is the South Bay area in California, and we've been diversifying with different types of modalities of teaching the courses that are required, and been running them through what's called a POCR process, where peer reviews are looking over them. So by doing that, trying to put some of the courses online fully, so it allows for students to be able to take and get the required courses in order to take the state board exams, and getting the word out that these modalities are available has been a little bit of a challenge. But this might help bridge the gap of, like, if they're trying to work and, all that good stuff, and they'd be able to take the courses, and the courses that I run don't have to zoom in at a specific time. So it's an asynchronous course. You just have to complete each module, and I am there at the back end. If that's helpful, I can send some information to anybody who's interested.
Yeah, please drop your contact info in the chat. And for those who would find that very useful, please let Catherine know. And Catherine, if you could send me using my contact information to that information, that would be wonderful. I'd love to learn more. Melita.
Hey, Tiffany, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
My apologies. Okay, so I'm here representing Mount San Jacinto College, and we have a very strong water and wastewater program, and it's been in inception since 2003. Same thing with San Bernardino Valley College. Our programs align clearly with what's required by the state of California for licensings, and all our programs at both of those colleges are 100% online. We do have refresher training as well too, to help support students to pass their certification exams, as well as we've just expanded at San Bernardino Valley College. We have a bachelor's degree program in water resource management. So we, as the educational institutions, we're here as educational providers to meet the CTE goals. I hear a lot about the credentials for K through 12, and I am encouraging all of you. I'd love to get your information. For example, we have a lot of advisory committee meetings in which we go to our industry partners, water agencies, and we ask, we want you to judge us on what we're doing well and what we're not doing well, and on areas that we can improve. So we're here. And plus, I'm excited about all this information about retirees with respect to that institutional knowledge that want to be shared. Our CTE instructors for our programs are former industry professionals, and we're looking for guest lecturers as we, transform into our bachelor's degree support as well too. So we're here, and we make education accessible for all. And we're here for if you want to come out for educational days, educational summits, if you need us to come speak. And then also we're in the process of working closely with our career education's internal administration to go out and advertise careers in waters. And both programs have an introductory series where it's intensive, where it introduces students to careers in water. So I kind of feel like, we're here, but maybe the message is not getting out, but letting you know the educational institutions have the program needs to be able to support your recruitment goals. We just need to get together with respect to, meeting support, being available, coming to those advisory meetings, because we want our, like you said, someone said earlier something about peer review. We like that. We want to know what we're doing. But again, we have to recruit based on what the needs are. We know you guys have individual needs, each individual agencies, but everything still needs to be aligned with what the state of California requires for certification. And that's what we do at the educational standpoint.
Yeah, thank you for that, Melita. I appreciate, Melita does have an advisory committee for those in the Inland Empire who are looking to connect to their educational institution there, and she's very active. I heard that your last meeting was amazing, and I think that being able to share that some of the things that you're looking for. I know we have Eastern here, we've got Western, also a sponsor. I know Inland Empire Utilities Agency attended your last meeting, but letting them know very clearly what you need. Those guest presenters, I know that we have a couple of folks who are really interested in participating, and that speaks to our partnership pillar, right? How can we partner with educational institutions to ensure that the training programs align with our workforce needs? And Melita has just opened the door to offer that to our folks in the Inland Empire. And there are others. Santiago Canyon College also is very active, and again, opening the door to allow industry professionals to come in and offer guest lectures, review lesson plans and that sort of thing. So I think that's really important. If you have not connected to your local educational institution partners, please do so. Nick.
Yeah, Tiffany, I don't know if this is the right place, but I just want to chime in one more time and just say a reminder, I brought this up at past WEEA meetings, that there are no public schools in LA or Orange County providing high school CTE in water resources and utilities. We have only one adult school, which is Bassett Unified in LA County, but there are two large counties. No one is providing the CTE thing for the high school kids, and only one adult school over there in Bassett. The second thing is, if those who don't know, CalPERS will allow you to keep your pension. You don't have to give up your pension if you teach part-time or full-time as a CTE instructor. And lastly, it's not always about the money. It's about just passing on your knowledge to the next generation and having that. So this is, we need more collaboration, such as what we're going to hear later in this program with Eastern MWD and Hemet Unified, but we need this in LA and Orange County. So just a reminder for folks on that. Okay, again, this is Nicholas Dibbs, and my contact information is in the chat. Thank you for listening.
Great. Thank you, Nick. Okay, we're going to share results from our poll. What people find most valuable from those selections, and then there's probably some stuff in the chat. So it looks like a majority are looking for a replicable workforce plan. So that helps us as we're planning for our next fiscal year. And then we're going to have to bring in some collaborators. We want water industry professionals who would like to contribute their needs, as well as educational institutions. What would benefit both parties moving forward? So we'll talk a little bit more about that as first I need to have a discussion with our sponsors to see how we're going to move forward, but we're probably going to call for volunteers to help us build that replicable workforce plan. And then a coordinated campaign to promote industry jobs. I love this. Again, we have some connections to some really powerful communications groups that I think would really appreciate being tapped for this type of campaign. So thank you for your contributions there. We're going to move on now to good news and announcements. Bill Andrews, are you in the room?
I am.
Wonderful.
If you can put up that flyer that I sent you, that would be great in the chat. I wanted to just give a shout out for the 2025 California Environmental Education Teacher Institute that we've been doing since 2011. And so we've done, this will be our 12th one in 14 years. And it's going to be hosted this time at the Metropolitan Water District, thanks to Benita's Horn's leadership and help with their sponsorship. But we have a number of industry partners that are helping sponsor this, where we invite teachers from grades 4 through 12 to come and learn about water and energy topics, hot topics that they are interested in and can communicate to their students. And we ask the teachers to engage the kids in a stewardship project, something to help the planet. And Walter Zeisel, formerly from LADWP, has been a key instrument and helper with this institute for many years. But we would love to invite any teacher from the greater Los Angeles area, Orange County area, thanks to WEEA for its support of the institute. And we have found that the teachers really enjoy this. We give a $500 stipend to the teachers for completing the institute. It starts in July, it ends in October. So we do some content information and activities for the teachers in the first couple of sessions. Then we'll have a virtual institute, and then the last one will be in October, and that'll be at the Water Replenishment District. Thanks again to some leadership there from Jen Swart. Anyway, we're really excited to have this opportunity for the teachers, and the link to the application to the Institute is there in the flyer that we sent. And Walter, anything to add to that?
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Oh, hi. Yeah, I just wanted to say that the flyer, that basically because of the location, the funding, I know that there are, representatives here from all over Southern California, but technically, based on agreement and the funding, it's restricted to schools in LA and Orange counties. So I know most of the members here are LA Orange County, but because, we as a sponsor, LADP, MWD, the Replenishment District, West Basin, and Las Virgenes are the sponsors. So just wanted to mention that. But yeah, thank you. And thank you to Benita for stepping forward, because we started this in 2015 in LA. And the previous Institute sessions were held at LADUP, and because of some staffing issues with hiring and stuff, LADUP is unable to host it this year, although they are the largest sponsor again. And so I wanted to thank Benita for stepping up to be able to host two of the sessions. There's 4 sessions, 3 in person. The first 2, one in July 19th, the other September 6th will be at MWD, if I got the dates right. And then the last session, which will be in person, will be at Replenishment District, I believe in Pico Rivera. And then there's one session that will be online. Bill, I get the dates right? I know there's a September 6th, but I thought that was an in-person one at MWD. Am I right about that?
Yeah, it is. It is in person, and then the virtual one is September 20th, and the last one is October 25th in person down in at WRT.
Yeah, so I retired February 1st, but I'm keeping my board membership, and but I'm focusing. I'm on the lead on the co-lead or the lead on the committee that's involved, overseeing and working with with our contracted institute director, Dean Gilbert, who used to work many years as the science coordinator at LA County. He did an outstanding job last year. So he's back with us again, leading it. And Marie and Ellen, who's, I believe, I believe she's in, I don't know if she's in Orange County also, but she's the facilitator, working as a cohort leader with the individual teachers by grade level groups. And she's also outstanding. So we expect to have a good tie-in. So basically right now we're in the process of getting the word out with the flyer, which I believe you just posted, and hopefully we'll get these out to teachers and have them sign up, because I know a lot of the school, I know in LA Unified, it's the biggest district in the state, but I know I think the last day of school is June 11th, so we have a fairly tight window to get the word out.
They can apply up until June 30, but a couple of exciting new things that we're doing. One is that we're starting this in the summer rather than during the school year. And so we think that that's going to be a plus for a lot of teachers. And then another thing is that we're going to start working to develop like relationships between the teachers and the sponsoring agencies. so that the teachers can get additional input, guidance from various water and energy agencies that we've never done before. And we're excited about that because teachers often feel very isolated and don't know who to turn to. And instead, we're connecting them with experts within these agencies to say, yeah, we want to do something about water conservation on our school campus. We don't know who to talk with. Well, guess what? We're going to nurture that relationship even before the Institute starts, and we'll continue it afterwards too. So we're very excited about that new component of the Teacher Institute.
And this came about from a statewide survey that CEF did last fall. You know, and to see, to try to solicit or get some information from teachers that might help us beef up the Institute is probably, as a lot of us consider, probably the most enriching, you know, a powerful teacher training that most of us have seen. And we're, you know, those of us that sponsor it for so many years believe that this is really a truly outstanding experience. It provides a lot of resources for teachers. There's a lot of funding provided to it. And then the teachers that complete all aspects of the Institute, which is centered on completing a stewardship project with their students that they develop with their students, that, you know, it's a really great opportunity. And it's also been field tested. There was rigorous research in the first one held in LA in 2015. And the results of that were published in 2 peer-reviewed journals. One, I believe it's called the Science and Education, and the other, it was a Children in Science from NSTA, National Science Teacher Association. So this is a proven model with bottom line results that have been tested. So the quality is there. We just want to make sure that you know, we get the teachers. You know, this is the format is trying to get 28 to 30 teachers, and have most of them complete the rigorous requirements. And there's also a $500 stipend if they complete all aspects of the Institute.
Great. Thank you both for sharing that. We did drop the flyer in the chat. There is a question that asks, how did you hear about us? So if you share this with your teachers, please let them know that there are some proud sponsors in there, including the Water Energy Education Alliance, including Los Angeles Department of Water and Power. So please make sure that they let you know how they heard about it. What I love about the Teachers Institute is it has a far reach. When you have one teacher, and keep in mind, we know water, we know energy. Teachers don't. So unless we share our knowledge, our expertise, or ways that they can integrate these really important resources into their lesson plans, they're not going to do it. So if they have the teacher training, they learn how to do that. Careers is the next step, and careers is part of this. So let our students know that at a very early age, that these careers are options for them, so they can start planning well into the future and can consider those training programs. One teacher, 30 classroom of 30 kids, 5 times a year. That's 150 students that they reach every single year. One teacher. So please consider sharing that flyer. Mary Ann.
Hi, everyone. Good morning. Mary Ann Johnson from Tomorrow's Talent. I wanted to share, I know we usually are focusing in this meeting on entry-level roles, but I know in talking to all of our water folks that your folks retiring are not your entry-level folks. And on Friday, as part of another group that I'm in, we were at the Phillips 66 refinery in Los Angeles. And I don't know if everyone knows that that is being shut down, and all of those folks are being laid off at the end of this year. So in talking to some of the staff there, they have engineers, they have mechanics, they have folks with years of experience that could be great fit for the water agency. So they gave me a job fair flyer that I'm uploading into the chat for you all right now. It's got a link to apply. I don't work for them. I just happened to be there. We were all very sad as they were telling us what was happening, but I thought this might be a great connection for your HR folks if you're looking for the folks that have years of experience. So please feel free to do with it what you will.
That's awesome. Thank you, Mary Ann, for sharing that, because we are finding as we're doing recruitments that we've got a ton of people who are applying, but they're kind of applying for everything. And recently, right? Recently, we just posted my job and we hired somebody for my job. I've been doing this for 17 years. So to be able to find somebody who has the skill set that I have moving forward, it was a challenge. We found somebody, but it wasn't easy. Thank you for sharing that, because that gives us an opportunity to say, hey, we're here and we'd love to integrate your decades of experience into our workforce. So thank you for that. Erica, welcome to WEEA. We're so glad that you were able to join us. Brand new.
Thank you for having me. Hi, everyone. I'm Erica Terrell from Los Angeles County Sanitation Districts. I am the Workforce Development Program Manager. I just had a question about the Institute, and I wanted to know if there were opportunities. It seems like I'll take a step back. It seems like the curriculum, which I looked over the flyer, is geared towards working with teachers to integrate uh, water and information about water pathways into their lessons, into the assignments. And one of the things that I am thinking about as well is how to bring that to life as a former teacher. Like I was a math and science middle school teacher, and it would be lovely, or really in my agency's best interest, to also be able to share that we give tours and we will pay for buses. And we have several different ways that our agency goes into classrooms. So we have engineers go in, they do sewer science. I wonder if there is a place where I could follow up and send an email, because I think it would be great. And I'm sure other agencies do that as well, so that teachers have resources to know where to go. We can really bring this to life for our students. I'm sure MWD also offers tours as well. And I'm just thinking full circle about how to make sure that, in addition to them learning about these pathways and opportunities in class, they can kind of see it and make those tangible connections.
Wonderful. Bill, is there an opportunity? I know you do share resources with teachers
Yeah.
following the Institute. So can Erica reach out to you
Yes,
and
please.
add those
Yeah.
resources?
Yep, I'll put
Perfect.
my email in the chat.
Great. And then for others who also offer similar, reach out to Bill.
Yep.
He's a good guy. He's ready to take all that information and share it with teachers.
Righto. Thank you.
Great. Yeah, absolutely. All right. No other hands. So just being mindful of our time. Sarah, we're going to skip the video, but we did do that water career series with the Water Replenishment District and PERC. We're dropping the link in the chat to our playlist. Please take a look at some of these videos. These were really fun to do, and we plan on expanding that. And part of that expansion is this wonderful opportunity from CSU Water. They have a video career series that I mentioned at the top of the hour. Steve, are you still here?
Yes.
And okay, did you want to go through some of the stuff on the slide, or anything that you'd like these guys to know?
Yeah. Quite a while ago, I put something in the chat, a link to a PDF flyer, info flyer here, but you've captured a lot of it here.
Great,
I don't
great.
want to so you've covered the main points here.
Early career professionals, job diversity. You see that we have already done interviews with engineers, hydrologists. Our PR people are jumping in there, accountants, policy specialists, and a policy specialist, a safety officer. What I love about this opportunity is it's 30 to 45-minute guided Zoom interview, and then they're going to integrate this into this wonderful video series. We want to complete these interviews by the end of June so that they can work on the videos and have them available to students in the brand new school year, potentially reaching 50,000 students across 23 campuses about the jobs that we have. If you are interested in this opportunity, if you're interested, MODOC is participating, Inland Empire is participating. If you are interested in this opportunity, please let me know. I'd like to coordinate that effort with our friends at CSU Water, just so that we know who's who and who's stepping up. But this is a wonderful opportunity to showcase the careers that you have, to celebrate your employees, and to reach potentially 1,000 students across 23 CSU campuses. So you have my contact information. Please reach out if you're interested in participating. There's a time-sensitive situation here. We want to make sure that we gather people and get them ready for these interviews. The guided Zoom interviews, by the way, also has a list of questions so those who are interviewed can be prepared, because that's something that we know. Okay, we are going to skip the real deal or just a dream. I added it kind of as filler, but we are a lively group. So we always have a lot to say, and we like to continue that. This is a place for learning about opportunities, about each other, about successes, about things that we've tried that maybe haven't worked, so we don't have to reinvent the wheel, for sharing resources, for breaking down silos. So we are flexible when it comes to this meeting. Very excited to introduce Eastern Municipal Water District as our sponsor spotlight. They've done some incredible work, and I thought I knew I thought I knew a lot more than I actually did know. They have got a website that has a wealth of resources, which we'll also share with you. But we have Amanda Fine, Public Affairs Manager, and Aaron Guerrero, Senior Public Affairs Program Manager, to talk about their programs here. And buckle in, because it's a really interesting story. Some of it was by chance, but it's also always about taking that first step, right? If there's something that you can imagine can happen, and WEEA is a perfect example. For those who don't know, Bill Andrews, who was very active in the last segment, is the founder of WEEA, and he was a very enthusiastic teacher who said, "Hey, you guys have jobs upcoming. We have students who need jobs." And so he founded WEEA in 2018. When we assumed WEEA in 2020, I didn't even know what a CTE program was. But I said, you know what? There's possibility here, and we learned, and here we are, 260 organizations strong across the state. So you never know what's possible, but you have to take that step forward. So Amanda and Aaron, welcome.
Good morning, Tiffany. Thank you for having us. I think Erin's going to share her screen, and we're going to get started with a quick overview of EMWD, just so that everybody has an idea of our agency and kind of the service area. And then Erin will get into the really great stuff, which is the education program. So kick it off from there.
Okay, is everybody seeing it? Okay.
We can go to the next slide. So just a quick overview. I'm going to give the first few slides and talk a little bit about the district's succession planning effort. I'm not going to get into too much detail. That's not a public affairs initiative. It's an executive in HR, and I don't want to steal their thunder. But we are going through a succession planning effort here at EMWD. And then I'm going to hand it over to Aaron to talk about our education program, the CTE program that we've developed with Hemet Unified School District, and then we'll have a Q&A session. So really quickly, EMWD was established in 1950. We're actually celebrating our 75th anniversary, if you couldn't tell by the logo with the big 75. We provide water, wastewater, and recycled water, wholesale and retail, and we serve nearly 1 million people in a 682 square mile service area, which goes from eastern Riverside, city of Riverside, Moreno Valley, all the way down to northern San Diego County. One unique thing about us is we're only 43% built out. So we're already serving almost 1 million people in this large service area, and we haven't even hit halfway built out. So we're in need of people that are interested in the water career, water careers, and we're in need of those that want to come back and serve their community. And then we are one of 26 member agencies of Metropolitan. That's how we got our name. We are the easternmost agency of Metropolitan. We are, like most of you, a public agency with a publicly elected board of directors. We have 5 of them. And as I mentioned, our service area, we have approximately 600 employees. Actually, yesterday, our count was 611, so we're just over 600. An annual budget of $596 million, and then a 5-year capital improvement program of $785 million. We anticipated about $78 million of that to come from grants and external funding. We are the 6th largest water utility in California, and our rep on the Metropolitan Water District of Southern California is Jeff Armstrong, who represents the Menifee and Paris area of our service area. Just a quick look of how EMWD fits in throughout the state and then here in Riverside County. We're just below San Francisco Public Utilities Commission, just above the city of Fresno, but we are the largest water provider in Riverside County. I mentioned that we provide these services already, but this is just a snapshot. And we wanted to kind of go over what we're doing so that you have an understanding later on when Erin talks about the programs and the field trips of what we're trying to chat with our students about. The drinking water aspect, the filtration plants, the desalination plants, imported water versus our local water, wastewater, what happens when water leaves your home or business or school, and then recycled water and a true education on recycled water and its future, especially as we expand indirect potable water reuse. And then I mentioned succession planning. I'm only going to touch on this a little bit as I said, but this is a multi-year effort. We kicked it off several years ago, and it's to attract and retain our high-performing employees. Tiffany mentioned earlier, how are we engaging with those that are already in the industry? And this is one effort that our board of directors and our executive team and our HR team really saw to fit in with our strategic priorities, which was engagement, employee and development, and workforce excellence. The implementation of this program is to kind of ensure that continuity of business, but also to give those aspiring leaders that maybe aren't in a position yet that they want to be in, the knowledge and the know-how on how to do what their boss or their boss's boss does. And so when we look at these different steps, it's identifying those key incumbent and inspiring leader positions, preparing those leaders, developing aspiring leaders, and then monitoring that progress. So we're still kind of in steps 2 and 3. And like I said, I'm not going to steal HR's thunder. If you guys want to know more about our succession planning effort, shoot me an email. I'm happy to connect you with our HR team. But this is all part of that. We're seeing a huge amount of people walk out the door in December or in July or something like that. And so we're trying to figure out how do we keep that historical knowledge within our team, and how do we make sure that we're developing those aspiring leaders that do want to move up and kind of advance their career. And with that, I will hand it over to Erin to talk about our education program and the 11 school districts and multiple private schools that we serve in our service area.
Thank you, Amanda. Appreciate that. And so really that was a setup, a segue for educating and training up the next workforce, because as you all know, we've experienced the silver tsunami that is happening. So for our part of the presentation, I want to go over kind of a history of our education program, and then we will jump into enhancements and various things that Eastern Municipal Water District is doing to, raise the level of awareness and education and outreach for our programs. Like most agencies probably on the phone, EMWD has offered, a pretty long-term and supported education programs for well over 20 years. We've had partnerships with Riverside County Office of Education, local Riverside Community College District. You heard from Melita from MSJC. Those are some of our, partners that we have had long-term inroads with and established relationships. A lot of it had to do with the building of a foundation for those relationships to get the word out and get out to the schools. It's all about collaboration, and I think that the dialogue and discussion that we've had here today, and that we're going to continue with, we're going to ask some questions to drop in the chat, etc. But the initial program, again, 20 years plus, and that really set the foundation for the future for us. We started with classroom presentations and assemblies. Those were really focused on the elementary level. Like all of us, we had to shift and change our focus during COVID time period. Started to offer things, virtually, but we really are finding now that the demand is back for these in classroom, in-person presentations. We've partnered for over 34 years with Metropolitan Water District for their poster contest. You can see the numbers, pretty impressive for our education group. The lead on that, I saw Eileen on the call that has administered that program for quite a long time. And where we've really found success is not only through the collaboration, but the sheer numbers, the reach that provides by participating in that program really hits a lot of students in our service area. We try to make it a little bit special. So we offered for our local winners, we go through a process of identifying and having a judging event where we invite outside partners to participate, including members of our board, to look at those individual winners from the each grade level, the TK through 8th, and then we invite them for a recognition event. So those 10 winners, we have them bring their teacher along as well as their families, and we just most recently hosted that earlier this month in our boardroom. Again, we try to elevate it by having a little prize bag. We have a teacher gift certificate that we give, and we memorialize this artwork for those for our local winners by placing that artwork on a reusable, water mug or coffee mug for the parents or grandparents to keep. And then if we have a local winner, that goes on to the Metropolitan to be placed on the calendar, we make that another special event. Last December, Eileen took our winner and the teacher on a train ride to Met's event, and that was well celebrated and then shared with the local, the Menifee Unified School District, then published that in their student newsletter or parent newsletter. Another program that has had long-term collaboration with Metropolitan is our Water Graduates program. And this program is for 5th grade level at Title I DAC schools. It's in partnership with our water use efficiency group, and it's funded through a water use efficiency grant. It's a 4-part curriculum that we've made available this year online on our website for any area school. So if you're not one of the lucky ones where the 18 schools that were able to fund a rewards field trip after they finish that curriculum. Another foundational, program for us has been field trips. Historically, 20 years plus, that's been for elementary age students, primarily in the wastewater. But we shifted that the last 3 to 4 years to expand, to really look at all sides of the water house. We've expanded to junior high and high school, including facility tours now at our water filtration and our desalination plants, and bringing them into operation so that they can look at things like our IOC integrated operations center, the big SCADA, and that interaction has been really successful because it then exposes to more careers and jobs available. So it's not just the pipes underground. One option is everybody drop in the chat right now. What tours do you offer? Are there other ideas up there that we don't have up there? We want to see what type of other offerings we might be able to expand to. One of our newer programs is a high school video contest, and I have to give a shout out to the last WEC meeting that we attended, to the Water Education Committee meeting, because I saw some great ideas on how to expand our program. That information was shared, I think it was last July or August, that we attended. And another agency in Northern California, I mean, they had actually offered it through the junior high level. So we're looking at expansion. One thing that we did realize from those observations is that we needed to up our game a little bit in terms of the prize money. And so we did that this year. Also, specifically had a theme that we could then use within our social channels, and had legs for a longer term. But I would say part of the success of this program has been the distribution channels to all area high schools. We also did some paid local advertisements with our surrounding news to get the word out, because gift card driven, not quite scholarship. We're trying to research that and get there. So again, if everyone here has ideas for what themes have you used? How have you found a video contest or the more interactive programs exciting, and to up our numbers as far as entries? One of our educational tools that we literally take out into the community is our hydration station van. And we at Eastern know that we're so fortunate to have this. I think it's one of the few in the country. And we take the hydration van out not only to highlight and talk about, tap water. Tap water is safe. We use it as an educational tool, not only at, library events and story time, career days, touch a truck. This is our truck that we allow people to touch, as well as large community events. And so not only do the students love it because they know that it's probably a time that Savvy the water drop mascot's going to be there, and we might be able to get a picture with her. But really, this is a big hit with our cities at large community events, nonprofit. We've had events where the entire city council comes out at one of our service cities, take pictures, local supervisors, etc. Now, I might mention that the hydration van is about to go through some rebranding. So, at Amanda's lead, we've talked about changing this up so that it becomes an even more educational item, that it's going to be branded with the full water cycle, have additional opportunity besides just tap water awareness and pictures with Savvy. Another educational program that we have is our environmental wetlands. We have a man-made wetlands at our education center that is, 60 acres. We've historically led bird tours up to 7 months out of the year. We have attendance that generally adults, but this is an educational opportunity because we have opened it up to, for instance, an Eagle Scout project. So for our local Boy Scouts troop, they came out and built a bird blind. And so that really added and enhanced the facility. What we really want to do is to expand our opportunities and incorporate more of the environmental learning here. I know that our team was inspired by the Big Bear Eagle Nest, and so we installed a webcam a couple of years ago. And you can see the link when Tiffany and team shares this presentation afterwards. So if you want to see the eagle sighting that we have had on occasion out at our wetlands, can go take a look. You know, so what we've learned is that these foundational educational programs were ready for expansion. It really needed to flip from our elementary, as we saw the progression and need for the succession planning, if you will, for the new and next generation. One other program that we've had for a number of years that really helps set the stage for our ability to move into the career technical education space and to expand this to from elementary program offerings to the junior high school is our youth ecology core program. So this is a program that is really a collaborative effort. So I know in the discussions earlier, we were hearing about, okay, what can you do with your local workforce board? And the partners in this program include our Riverside County Workforce Development Board, the California Family Life Center, which is a nonprofit organization that has then also applied for and received grant funding for this program. So again, it was another foundational program that helped us to launch into the space. This is a 12-week program. It provides hands-on on-the-job training for the young adults that are 18 to 24. So this program, we do everything from professional development to resume writing to actual placement within various departments amongst EMWD. And so that can be anything from accounting to operations to public affairs, as well as purchasing, shops, our recycled water operations. So we have a great success story that wanted to share with you. One of our youth ecology core interns, Sabrina, she worked actually in our public affairs with Amanda and I for 10 months. And then it was her first on-the-job experience. She's a young mother that really gained experience here with our team, and then she was ready to spread her wings and started to apply for outside positions. She landed a job on the spot at San Jacinto Unified School District, and I really think it's a great success story because it was that on the job training at EMWD that allowed her to promote herself and get a good paying wage position with the district, with the local school district, which was really which was her goal. Another example of how a paid and collaborative workforce program can work is another highlight that we have is I really think speaks for itself in terms of our internal departments really supporting and collaborating with the overall strategic initiatives of EMWD as a whole to support the next generation of workforce. Again, as mentioned, it really was kind of a springboard because we had a little bit of a framework to get going on the career technical education program. Which leads me to the career technical education program. So I know we have a lot of dialogue on the phone, and on the presentation and with the group. And so I'm hoping that as we go through this part of the presentation, we'll kind of give you a history and how we built and how we launched. And then would love the additional questions and everything to drop in the chat. So our career technical education program really started with an idea. It started with Amanda's idea, I might say. She picked up the phone and called Riverside County Office of Education. And then, as luck would have it, we received a call from West Valley High School in Hemet. They were interested in establishing and expanding their career technical education program offerings to include jobs in the water industry. From there, it really was, a thought of EMWD figuring out, okay, what are we going to do? This silver tsunami has hit, and we need to be training up the next generations. We need to have the forethought to expand our education programs to get into and in front of those junior high and high school levels. And so we formed a career technical education advisory board that included subject matter experts from within Eastern Municipal Water District, as well as really formed a strong partnership with not only the CTE program director at Hemet Unified, but as well as some outside industry partners, including our local junior college, MSJC. We put the program and education activities for the most part on hiatus for 6 months. So we really stripped it down to bare bones and continued our outreach and some of our base programs that were just shared, like the poster contest and others. But we paused our tours for a while. And hired an education consultant to actually build the curriculum and build the activities needed to launch a CTE program. We then went through over the summer before launching of testing those activities, testing that curriculum, having large group review the material. And then we placed it all online and put it out there. And like the slide says, ready, set, go, launch. We went for it. So the program that EMWD has is a pilot that we're running with West Valley High School, and really, really fortunate to be able to partner with an institution that has dedicated the time and staff to really learn about the water agency. So a lot of I guess a lot of shout out to Dr. Larga Gallardo at the CTE, the CTE director for the Hemet Unified School District, and then Mrs. Michelle Serrano, who's the lead teacher. She has participated in EMWD's, water leaders, our trips to with Metropolitan to tour, the state. She is so engaged with really absorbing and learning that curriculum. So from that standpoint, we know we're extremely lucky. Again, with the consultant build, we've built a 7-unit program that is all about careers in water. It tries to expose the students to a number of careers, everything from urban planning through actual operations. It does meet Common Core, and all of the curriculum standards for CTE program. We have all of the topics that you see here listed on the slide, and then I'm going to take you through kind of what some of those components are. Each unit has an actual lesson component that is going to consist of pre and post work. We've got fast facts. We've got, lecture and PowerPoint presentations that are already prepared and ready for the instructor to deliver to the classroom. It includes hands-on activities. All of the students that are enrolled in this program this year since launch have come to a field trip at both our wastewater facility, our desalination plant, as well as our water filtration. So again, learning about the whole water cycle. They participated in community events. As Amanda mentioned, we're on our 75th anniversary, and we had a huge open house. I guess that was just in April, and West Valley, came and had a table, a booth at our event, and the number of community members that were there and then wanted to know about the jobs and opportunity, it was pretty amazing. Then the curriculum is going to, capstone with a large project. There we go. Some of our lesson activities include Jeopardy, water management game, water filtration experience, and so a lot of interactive and hands-on material. We found that if we, mix up the mode and media with this material, it keeps the students much more engaged. I did already mention that we took all of these 100 students on a tour of all of these facilities. And then what's coming up, pretty exciting. I think I'll get to that. I'm getting ahead of myself. After touring, they primarily did a lot of the tours this past fall, and some went into the new semester. But one of the projects that was assigned was for the December closeout after the students had attended a desalination plant tour and learned all about our groundwater desalination program out here in the Inland Empire. Their project completion for the fall semester was to build a desalination plant and then provide a presentation on whether or not Eastern Municipal Water District should expand and add a desalination plant in our area. Key learning, a couple of things. One, the classrooms were very excited because EMWD staff came and watched these presentations. So I think they felt the pressure, and then also it was great to see, okay, what did they actually learn and absorb at those tours? But with Ms. Serrano, one of our, key learnings was overwhelmingly the students said, no, we should not build a desalination plant. It was way too expensive. And she had given the parameters of like a $5 million. And so a key learning was to incorporate our capital improvement plan, because we've got over a $700 million capital improvement plan. That a lot of that, as you know, is coming from outside agency funding and different things. But it was pretty humorous to see that, oh my gosh, that was just like an overwhelming amount of money. So, and again, another learning was to keep it active, keep it interactive, keep the students engaged by having them do a build of some sort. Some of the other components include some student projects, everything from blogs and journals to hopefully an app creation. It's it's one of our goals is that we have another contest in addition to our video, which is, hey, create us an app, some type of learning app that we could then deliver to the younger audiences. And then for the culmination, we're going to have, the students complete a full portfolio. So that's going to include everything from their classwork to their job shadowing and package approval. And so remember, we just launched this last fall. So it's run through spring, and the culmination for this first group of students is going to be our summer program. So this is where starts on June 6th, so just a couple of weeks away. But we're going to have a week-long immersive opportunity for 20 of the senior students to learn everything about every job within our industry and get a really good flavor of on-site activities. So again, we're doing everything from engineering to having all of our subject matter experts within the organization, as well as outside partners are going to be presenting and talking about jobs in water. It's going to culminate on the last day with Amanda's going to help them do a podcast. We're going to be interviewing these students so that we can use it within our own media and efforts. And the students at the end of the week are going to provide a presentation on which job in the water industry is of most interest to them, and how do they need to go about it educationally to get there, and what are their plans for future. Again, the program completion really, because this does offer this at Hemet the dual enrollment with MSJC, our local community college partner that offers a water technology program. They are receiving some credit for some of that dual enrollment. And then we're looking at, okay, what's the next opportunity for them? I know that they'll be trained up if they have a full program completion and be eligible to take water technology operator testing, state testing. But we're also looking and exploring, okay, how can we also beef up our high school experience, internship, and apprenticeship programs? And then we're gonna have them present to our board. Our board and executive management is so supportive of the opportunities that our education program provide, especially those pathways to careers and our future hires. And so we actually have them, come and present and showcase that. And Tiffany and Sarah, I'm not seeing in the chat if we do have questions, so if we want to hold them to the end, but really wanted to share like some of our key learnings from our experience to date. And I won't say it takes a village, but it really takes subject matter experts. I know that Amanda and myself, our team knows just enough to be dangerous about some of the the water operations, and we pride ourselves in the knowledge of the overall. But we really have leaned on some of our experts shown there in the top picture. Some of our internal operation managers, directors, they really provided great input for the program overall. It really, a key learning is that we are so fortunate to have such a great CTE director and lead in our area. We've joined every CTE advisory board meeting, not only with him at Unified, but in other local schools that we serve. I know that San Jacinto, Marietta Unified, Temecula, all of them have really provided important guidance for us as industry to what are the needs within education, and vice versa. We've conducted feedback and surveys. I think it's going to be really important at the end of, a few weeks here at the end of the school year, that we get those student surveys. And that strong relationship again with our teacher lead for this program as a whole has been incredible and really, I think, pivotal. which brings me to pivot and adjust. What do? We dance around a lot. We have pivot and adjust. If we see something's not working, we move on it. How can it be enhanced? What can be different? We've really learned from industry partners too. So outside of the agency as a whole, is where can we collaborate and where can we find additional resources? Because we don't need to reinvent the wheel. We need to figure out where that resource already exists and, let's move to it. And then another key learning is to move forward, to seek outside partnerships. All of us have probably large construction projects, with engineering teams, with other agencies, to start looking for additional donations. I know we're fortunate enough that that we had a lead that got a bunch of equipment donation. So some of the next steps with West Valley is building of that hands-on experience. I know some of our local junior colleges have, a big field yard. Like, what does it look like to go down in a manhole, or that type of training? So having that on hands training, sometimes going to come from partnerships and making that ask, and we're trying to make that ask on West Valley's behalf on some occasions. Another other key learnings is that we've learned that it's just not implementing a water technology education program at a specific, high school or in this specific district. We are now trying to align and figure out, we've got this take and teach curriculum where it can fit in other existing and long-term programs within CTE pathways that already exist. And so I know one success that we are really looking at is agriculture. Agriculture is big in the inland empire, and so we'll be expanding and looking at the environmental, looking at the welding and auto shop where we've got on-site facilities here, our guys that take care of the entire fleet that is out there. And again, we've found success in figuring out how to plug and play the program. Like to give a shout out. I saw some of our Marietta Valley Unified folks on the line today. This was a great example of how we were able to take some existing material that we have from our CTE careers program and implement it for a large group of girls in engineering. And so we brought them down for a day of touring our facility, had our expert engineers come in and share their career path in the industry and why they ended up in water. Ellie, one of our engineers, shared she started in transportation. And so as WEEA, as the, Water Education Energy, Water Energy Education Alliance, where these this different curriculum, could plug into another existing CTE program. Another success and effort that we talked about collaboration. We have collaborated with Ignited Education. I see Emily on the line. Can't see if Megan and others are here, but we had a teacher workshop, and so this was a career at a CEC unit program that was a week long, where we exposed our 15 teachers that attended last summer to everything in water. We actually tested some of the curriculum, and then the purpose of that workshop was for them to build out and implement how could they include some of this water curriculum into their students for the year. again, we partnered and did tours, had the subject matter experts come in, and it was so successful that we're running it again this July. And we've upped the numbers to 22. We're again delivering this to junior high to high school, and inviting all new teachers from the area. Another success and opportunity that we've seen is by training our staff to become a facilitator and, certified teacher for WET project, which you're all familiar with. We want to look at incorporating more of the environmental program aspect into our educational materials, increase our use of our wetlands facility because we are fortunate enough to already have it. And our education center is there at the wetlands facility, and then start to open up and offer, additional partnership and teacher training for our specific area. So before Q&A, just wanted to let you know, a few of our upcoming engagements. We're here. We're at the WEEA presentation today. So thank you again for inviting us. We're looking forward to attending the DWR WEC meeting here in a few weeks. We are running the West Valley High summer program, so glad to share after that how that all went. Hosting our teacher workshop, as just mentioned. We hope to present in front of the Riverside County Office of Education to the group of superintendents. And again, that's just a little bit of the collaboration and tenacity to continue to try to make those inroads and share the information. And then we look forward to hosting the Water Education Committee meeting in person in November. And we have a planning call with Karen a little bit later today. So my last question for the chat is, what does the group on the call, want to see in terms of that in-person meeting? And tell us any tips and tricks if you've hosted an in-person WEC meeting. We're open ears and happy to hear it. And I did a lot of talking, but that in a nutshell is how EMWD is running their education program, where we're always looking for innovative and new things to share, how we, I think, collaborate with industry, and looking for others' input and ideas of, what can we do next?
Wow. You guys are doing even more than I thought I knew after I knew. I am so excited by the things that you're doing. I've got way too many notes. I love a lot of things about what you're doing. The student projects, how you do a multimedia approach. What else I love is that you're allowing them to present at things like board meetings. You're addressing those, nobody kill me in the room. I'm going to say soft skills just so we have that foundational understanding. Essential skills, you're addressing the biggest part of retaining workforce, right? So we can get students in the door, we can attract them, we can hire them, but are they keeping the job? In this comprehensive program, you're addressing that need as well. I love it. I do have a quick question. You mentioned your capital improvement plan is written into curriculum. For this group, it's very important. If you haven't addressed workforce, a wonderful way to do that is in your capital improvement plans, right? Because without a skilled, trained, work-ready workforce, operational reliability is impossible. I really want that to sink in because workforce has been separate and away for so long. Without a skilled, trained, work-ready workforce, operational reliability is impossible. So I love the ways that you have been creative and you've thought outside of the box. My gosh, 100 students, thank you for saying that you're subject matter experts and you bring other experts in. One of the biggest challenges I think I had two. One is for another day, was gathering all the information, was feeling that whatever space I needed to be in, particularly in public affairs, I had to know all the things. And I've come to learn, obviously, over the years, you don't have to know all the things. You have to invite others in the spaces around you who are subject matter experts, because this is so dense. You don't have to know the things. Support what you know with the partners around you. So thank you for all that you do. And we do have questions. So we're going to start with the one raised hand. Nick, do you want to go ahead and start?
Well, this is like going to heaven. Sorry, my picture isn't up, but I I've been a CTE credentialed CTE teacher for water utilities. Getting that credential was a big step, but I'm looking for a job to replicate what you folks are doing, and so I'm getting to the point now of saying we don't have anybody in LA or Orange County doing this. Nobody. No public school district, as far as I know, is doing this. So a couple of things. The funding for the CT program and how long, when did it start? Didn't it start at Hemet High School, or it started, what, 4 or 5 years ago?
Yeah, so it started probably in 2021, 2022 at West Valley High School in Hemet Unified. And their funding, Erin gave a shout out to Dr. Laura Gallardo. She's their director of CTE for Hemet Unified, and she did a lot of work and went after grants and things like that. And so we signed on in that grant funding application as an industry partner. And so we're not directly giving funds to Hemet Unified. We're more in kind by hosting staff time, going out there, providing the resources to Serrano, who's the CTE instructor for that program. And so it's more in kind than it is like actual dollars.
Well,
They're
you
taking care of that through their grant
Well,
programs.
you and your team have done and Aaron have done an excellent job. And all I can say is you've set the bar and you've been the pioneers on this. And the only thing I can say is let's replicate it as much as we can in other school districts and starting out as best you can. So, and the lesson plans, if they can be shared and so on. I'm just very happy. And I remember that when that job posting came out and I missed applying by a few days. But anyway, I'm glad you have a good teacher out there. So thank you. Thank you all very much.
Thanks, Nick. Bill, you have a question in the chat. You want me to read it, or would you like to ask it?
Yeah, my question was, at some point I thought there was some kind of a stipulation that you had to have a CTE credentialed teacher in the classroom, so was that the case when those PowerPoint presentations were being made to the kids?
So the curriculum's available online, and it is the teacher at the school district that's administering the program. We are in partnership and provide all the supplemental activities and ideas, but the curriculum that was built is servicing some as a supplement to other curriculum that she is following from the state, and building actually on, because as you could see, it was only 7 units that we have, so essentially that could be kind of covered in one semester. So the teacher, again, Ms. Serrano's lead, she has been absorbed in every other opportunity to learn about water as possible throughout this year.
Yeah, finding the CTE credentialed teacher is one of the biggest challenges for school districts, and Nick has been testifying to that, and I'm sure you guys had the same kind of challenges. Thank you.
Yeah, when Eileen Earl, who's on the call, and we got on a Zoom meeting with our COE, and we're like, so how do we do this? Because we want to be a part. And they were like, well, you need a teacher. And I was like, well, I should know that. I come from a family of educators. But it was very serendipitous that West Valley called us up probably a week or two later, just saying we're looking to do this. And the program has been kind of started and it never stopped, but it's seen the evolution over the years. And to Erin's point on the curriculum that she made earlier, yes, it's CTE, but it's also Common Core and NGSS. So it doesn't have to be a CTE classroom that implements this. It's a take and teach. So a teacher can say, "Ooh, I really want to go over the history of water in California," and they can take that and implement it. And maybe they're not an environmental teacher, maybe they're a history teacher. And so it's open to anybody, but our main audience, obviously, in this pilot was West Valley.
Fantastic.
John.
Yes, Aaron, I'm sorry, I was interrupted several times during your presentation, so I hope we're going to get the slides. But two questions. One is this a youth apprenticeship?
Is it a youth apprenticeship?
Yes.
Not at, I think we could say it is, but not from a technical sense of a California Community College program implementation. So we are continuing to develop that with the supporter of this local program for us is Mount San Jacinto, and Malie's online. One of the challenges I think that we can share is employment and apprenticeship of the under 18 and the risk involved for an agency that prides itself on safety. So that's where on the call today there are other resources and opportunity for exploring with outside partners to look at that component. So our summer program where we're doing a lot of the job shadowing and the on the job is covered through kind of West Valleys, but it's a program that we're building internally to say, here's the flavor of all these positions, and looking to future for the actual apprenticeship or paid internships for a lot of the students that may be under 18.
Right. Your program lines up perfectly with the COIA grant. It's not employment. It's for job shadowing, just like what you're doing. And you could apply for that and get funding to help your program. And then all you have to do is align it with an apprenticeship down the road. So I would encourage you to take a look at that, the COIA grant, Youth Opportunity or California Opportunity Youth Apprenticeship. It would be a great boost to your program. And then you tie it in with an apprenticeship with MSJC later on, and that would be a CHI grant, which would be California Apprenticeship Initiative, and they could do a planning grant and then turn it into an implementation grant, and then further on down the road, they could do an expansion grant. That would be a perfect segue into a water apprenticeship program. Anyway, so then of course my second question you have already answered, because the students aren't of age yet to be hired, so they haven't reached 18 yet to where you could actually hire any of them. Is that correct?
Correct. So this is still our pilot. The program's been going on for a couple years, but we're just now piloting with the curriculum. And so, as I said, the CTE program at West Valley has seen some evolution. This is probably the first year where it's where we've implemented these kind of steps and pathways. However, Aaron mentioned the Youth Ecology Corps program, which we've been running since 2013, and we've had several interns from that program get hired on with EMWD. So not necessarily the CTE, because we haven't had kids yet to go through the full program and then maybe go get a cert to be hired on. But with the YEC program, we have had interns get hired on full time with EMWD, including in our lab records.
Really built it out correctly. I mean, just really, you've got a great foundation. So I would encourage you to check out the COIA opportunity, because that would be the really logical next step to really make it take off. And then if you need help with that COIA or with the CHI grant, that's I would say an expert at getting those done, because I'm going to be writing 2 of them this month. The next COIA or CHI grant opportunity is coming out in July, and the COIA is going right now. So we might take a look at that. But I work with DAG USA, which is a nonprofit, and we started the support intermediary called ICANN. It's Industry Centered Apprenticeship Network. And if you want to find out more information about that, it's ican.us. So www.ican.us. Miriam Farnbauer is the director, and she would help you certainly get more information about both COIA and CHI if you're interested in pursuing either of those, and help you, get your foot in the door.
Awesome. John, do you mind if I share your contact information with Aaron and Amanda following?
For sure.
He really is an excellent resource who is involved in a lot of different things, very knowledgeable. If you're ready to take it to the next step, I do have to remind people, this is a pilot. What these guys, like I'm looking at these slides thinking, how in a pilot can you do so many things and really be so thoughtful about the things that you're doing? Like, how does it address this need? How does it address? I mean, I can just, already it's a model. I can just see this growing to be just a resource for people to take a look at and say, we can do this too, and look at where it started and look at where how it's become. And the various members of this particular group helping get grant funding or offering suggestions, lean on those people. I know that you met Emily and Ignited through the WEEA group too, and she's been amazing for you. That teacher training is also fantastic. I implore everyone who's on the call to connect with the folks in this room, because you can take whatever it is that you're doing to the next level.
That's why it might be the perfect time to look at the Kaya planning grant, because that's a 2-year grant that you could start working on planning that implementation grant for 2 years down the road, when your pilot might then be perfect timing to start the Koya, which would then run right into the Kaya implementation grant. So it's a seamless transition.
Brilliant. And John, I think someone did drop a link in the chat. Can you make sure that's the link that you would share? And if it isn't, if you could provide links so that others on the call can take a look at that too, that'd be great.
That is it.
Awesome.
John?
Awesome. Thank
Melita.
you. Melita.
Hey, John, how you doing?
Hey, Melita, good to see you again, or at least.
I just want to follow up with you. I don't know if you guys know, we have an active water sector management apprenticeship committee between Mount San Jacinto as well as San Bernardino Valley College. So we are trying to get that off the road. So I'm very excited about what you're proposing and also to move forward. We have about 4 different water agencies that are active in that particular group. So let's chat.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Thank you for that. All right. We are just a couple minutes behind. We're doing great on timing. We're going to go ahead and take our 10-minute break. Just a reminder for everybody in the room, these are always such rich conversations. We did have 111 people register for this meeting, and people have been filtering in and out, and that's perfectly okay. Everyone who registered for this meeting is going to get a copy of the recording, a copy of the chat, a copy of the links, and a copy of the presentation. So don't feel like, oh no, I've got to drop off, or I started late, I'm not going to get this information. You're absolutely going to get this information if you registered for this meeting. So let's take a 10-minute break. Be back at 11:13. And it is 11:13. Aaron, Nick had one more question before we move on.
And
go ahead, Nick.
Nick, I'd have to say I have to defer that to Amanda, or to a follow-up with you, because I don't know the exact answers to that question.
Okay, for the group that maybe didn't hear it, the question is, the impediment seems to be, when I've contacted school districts in LA and Orange County, is that they don't have the funding to launch a new CTE pathway. So any feedback that you can connect others and me with as to how they receive the funding, or how they can get the funding to do this. I think a lot of school districts would do it if they had the funding. And so whatever you can do, please connect me with the Hammett people and see how we can get funding for other school districts for CTE pathway and water utilities or technology. That'd be great. Thank you.
Well, and I think that might be more at the district level. So for us, that would be the Riverside County Office of Education. And one of the things I do know that most of our area's districts have is a CTE coordinator or director of the programs, and then they're going to manage. And the first thing that they do is a lot of data research. I see a question in the chat from Marietta Unified School, who we've been working with, of looking, is this a pathway that has a high enough wage and salary, enough job openings for the district to support actually doing a full-blown pathway program.
Well, part of the problem at LA Unified, which I've been in contact with them, and Walter has helped connect us with LADWP, is the funding. And so I think LA Unified would like to do this in partnership with LADWP. I can't speak for them, but the issue has been the funding. And so whatever can be done to do this, to bridge that gap would really be great, the funding gap.
Okay, well, we'll do a little research and do a follow-up.
Yeah, I'd be happy to follow up with you, and it'll help get other school districts to do the same if we can get the funding worked out. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, guys. Okay, before we jump into our breakout rooms, we are going to launch a poll, and this is a poll that we have active right now with WEEA. You can visit our LinkedIn page and share this with others, but this information is really important, again, because it informs how we move forward. So all of the polls, I know sometimes they take a little time, they take a little energy, a little thought, but what's really important about these polls, and we're going to be doing a lot more of them, and we've talked about partnering with our educational institutions and higher ed institutions to deliver the polls that we create moving forward actually to students, so we can also inform what's going on in the classroom and what their opinion is. So it's really important that we get your feedback, and we'll share these resources so that we can make informed decisions. But this is the poll. From your point of view, what is the biggest challenge attracting new talent to water and energy careers? Now, the discussion that we have in the chat, or I'm sorry, in the breakout room, is going to expand upon that. And part of this poll, we always do a one question. We do like you to elaborate. Do you have ideas for how we might move forward? And so this is our discussion today. What's the biggest challenge you're facing? And based on your response, what solutions? And think, as big as you can possibly think, because we do understand that there's some agencies that are farther ahead, or some educational institutions that have built pathways or have programs, but maybe they're having trouble attracting students. So what does this look like for you, and what could some potential solutions be? We discussed that a little bit at the beginning, but I think that there's some really great ideas that can be shared as we break out. And again, you'll notice that our breakout sessions are going to be a little bit smaller. We're only going to break out into 2. And that's for 2 reasons, so that we can have those focused discussions, but also because we have me and Sarah Wilson running the show today. So it's going to help us really moderate the groups a little bit better. Let's see. So 17 out of 26, 65. If there's anybody else who wants to throw your hat in the ring, there we go. 18, 19, 20. Perfect. From your point of view so far, limited awareness of career options. And we heard that a little bit earlier on. We also have limited hands-on learning and entry points, pretty strong. And we have noticed that, right? There's a problem introducing students under 18 to tours or to career opportunities. Where are those entry points? Are they entry level? Are those mid-management? And how can we address those problems? So we're going to go ahead and end the poll and share those results with you. And we're going to take this information and add it to our current poll. I have a couple of presentations upcoming in the next few weeks. And so once I'm done sharing all of this, we'll share the information with you so you can see where everybody's at. So let's go ahead and break into our 2 groups. We're going to not do regional this time because we have smaller groups, but we are going to do group 1 and group 2. Do we have anybody who wants to share out with this larger group some things that really stuck with you from our breakout rooms? Does anybody want to raise your hand and say either what you said again or something that you learned in the breakout room? Where's Delise?
I'm right here.
Come on, girl.
I'm right here. I was muted. I had to unmute myself. I'm here.
Anything stood out to you in the breakout rooms or ideas that you wanted to share with the larger group?
Wow, just so much. Just trying to process everything and take it in, but I would probably have to say some of the things that who was it? I believe that Emily actually brought up in the end, and I don't think I can say it better than her, but is she here? I don't want to put her on the spot. Is that wrong? Emily, are you here?
Let's see, Emily.
She was, no, she's not, huh?
She's
Did
not.
she? Okay. I know she made some comments in regards to we're talking about focusing on the teachers and just empowering teachers to actually basically be advocates for us. You know, we're the professionals, we know what we're doing, but we need to be able to give them the ability, the strength, and basically the confidence to be able to put out our messaging and be those messengers for us and encourage these students, let them know that these careers are out there. Because I think she mentioned something like parents are the first ones that actually have that influence over what a child does, but the second is a teacher, and teachers touch 150 students a year or 150 kids a year, and that's huge. So to think that 150 minds are listening to the opportunity to have so many different career options and so many different ideas and aren't just set on a pathway of I got to go to college or I got to go to the military or what am I going to do with my life? And they know that all these possibilities are available, even within the industry itself. You know, it's not just if you work for a utility, you have to be in a sewer. You could be an administrator, you could be a general manager, you could be an engineer. So just having those partnerships with teachers and empowering those teachers, I think, was one of the huge things that I took away from that conversation.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Anyone else have something they want to share from their breakout rooms? We talked in group one about dual enrollment, and Bill Andrews' grandson, 13 years old, is getting college credits. I mean, that's unheard of, right? Why couldn't this be something that we look into? Walter. Oops, you're muted.
I think
Still
Walter's
unmuted. Yeah. Let's go with Mark while Walter's adjusting his microphone. Mark.
Hey, thanks, Tiffany. In our breakout room, we were kind of talking about how do we get into the schools? How do we make those connections? And we had a little discussion, and I had an idea that we have the parents, right? And as a parent, I want to go into the schools and I want to do things for my students' class. And how great would it be if I got paid to, during my workday, go and present to my students' class or even to the school on a career day. But if we empower our parents within our organizations to go and do that and make it easy for them, that's going to be just super simple. It's going to work itself out. And it could be a really great way of starting that process and getting the school to then recognize water as a career that should be promoted within the school. So just thought of that idea and wanted to share it.
That's an awesome idea. Sarah, did you grab that in the Padlet? Perfect. Thank you. Delise.
Okay, I got the mute off, I think. So Mark, that kind of would be great to kind of tie into what Emily said. If Emily is saying that the first person is the parent and the second person is the teacher, what if we did take that to the parent? And what if we did find some type of way to pay through grant or some type of incentivization to get the parent to teach them our messaging and get them in the classroom, because they have easier access to their classrooms and their students, and definitely more influence over the students than we do. So I think that that's great. I mean, I don't know what that looks like, but throwing that out there, Mark, just really has my wheels turning now between you and Emily. So hopefully, Tiffany, you guys can take that and kind of throw it in a pot and see what we come up with.
Yeah, I think, and I'm not sure where agencies are now. COVID hit and we had to learn how to work from home. And then we came back hybrid. I don't know how many people are back to full-time in person. But I know that our organization has a flexible work schedule. So for us, that might be a way to adjust hours, right? So maybe you take some time during the day and then you adjust your hours and you present to a school district or a classroom in the evening or middle of the day. That would probably work out pretty well for us.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, go ahead,
Okay,
Walter.
I know we had some problem. Okay, so I just wanted to mention a couple things that I brought up in the chat. In the breakout room, was that just as a reminder that WEEA has those two brochures, one on energy, one on water, both translated into 8 languages. And I know 100,000 copies have been distributed statewide, and we had targeted counselors. But I'm thinking also that people from the water and electric utilities going out into classrooms, might be something to get in their hands as well. I know at Water and Power, I had many instances where parents had their supervisor allowed them to go into their kids' classrooms, and they were able to share. I mean, we also had a speakers bureau plus adoptive schools. So we had some programs where employees were, on an ongoing basis or periodically in classrooms. And I guess we could, share those, more, with individual. Another way to get it out is when we're doing programs with teachers and stuff, to hand the brochures out as well. Even though, the counselors, Bill Andrews had come up with WEEA, but also the idea of the brochure, and the idea was to get in the hands of the counselors, but we could also expand it to try to get in the hands of teachers, to share information about the two water and energy utilities, and the additional resources, because both brochures not only have some good information about the types of careers, the pay levels, but also very strong background in the websites with additional really strong, really powerful information on both water and energy.
Great. Thank you, Walter. Bill, did you have something to add?
No, time is, we're at noon right now, so another time.
Okay. Yes. Thank you, Walter, for the Speakers Bureau. We have our Speakers Bureau. That's a great idea, because we have our Speakers Bureau, Sarah, for our board of directors and our staff to present on industry issues. But why not expand and have a Speakers Bureau in your education department? I like that a lot.
Well, our
Right.
speakers go to career days. For years have gone to career days. In fact, that's probably one of the top requests at Water and Power during the spring, especially, is we've been sending speakers out to the classrooms during career days, and even some instances we've actually sent trucks and stuff out, especially if the adopter is a group that has that. But yeah, we've done some of that as well.
Wonderful. I appreciate that. And I appreciate everyone's participation in this meeting. We are at 12. We might even be at 12:01, but I consider a 3-hour meeting ending a minute late just fine. So thank you. We don't have a meeting date scheduled yet because, again, I'd like to speak with our sponsors and come up with some ideas for the new year, something maybe a little bit different, or maybe emphasize our education partners, which is something we haven't done in a little while. And so, Bill, and obviously I'd invite you to that meeting because that was the big push at the beginning of WEEA. So let's talk. Let's stay connected. You guys are going to get all of this information. If you have any questions, comments, suggestions, please reach out. I look forward to talking with each of you and growing this collaborative even further. So thank you all for joining us.
Great job, Tiffany. Thank you.
Thank you, Tiffany.
Thank you.
Hi, Sarah.
Thank you, Tiffany, and everybody at Eastern Municipal Water District.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank
Have
you.
a great week.
Thank you.